What are you saying?
The regular meeting of the St. Joseph County Council, May 14th, 2019 is now called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation, which will be given this evening by Pastor Gil Michelle from the church, that church downtown. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for our gathering together. Lord, Proverbs chapter 1 says that wisdom is crying out in the streets. It's standing at the gates of the city, the place where decisions are to be made. And so, Lord, we ask and ask sincerely that you would grant your wisdom to us, that we might make decisions according to your wisdom and to your heart. Father, I pray, Lord God, because you've asked us, Lord, in 1 Timothy 2:2, that prayers be made for those who are in authority, and for those that intercession and supplication would be made, for those who have to make decisions, for those who are in authority, so that we might be at peace. And so we admit this evening that, Lord, we know nothing until you invoke our wisdom and give us the knowledge to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and in what way we should do it. And so, Lord, we ask for your presence even here, Lord, that you would inspire ideas, that you would give wisdom where we need it. You told us if we lack wisdom, that we should ask it of God, and that if we would ask of you, you would give liberally, and you wouldn't upbraid us for asking of it. So, Lord, we do ask for your wisdom and ask for your guidance as we look to make decisions that affect the lives of not just those in the room, but those throughout this county. We thank you and we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Michelle. Next are petitions, communications, and miscellaneous matters. Councilman Kaloyan.
Mr. President, I would ask that we reappoint to the Early Intervention Board John Ferretti and Raphael Morton, to the MACOG Policy Board Mark Root, and to the Northern Indiana Historical Society Diana Hess.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, nominations are now closed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. John Ferretti and Raphael Morton are reappointed to the Early Intervention Board. Mark Root is reappointed to the MACOG Policy Board, and Diana Hess is reappointed to the Northern Indiana Historical Society. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the April 9th public hearing? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes from the April 9th, 2019 public hearing are approved. Report from the county auditor.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Report from county commissioners.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Deb Fleming, County Commissioner. President Morton and esteemed members of the Council, Auditor Hammond, and guests. It is my pleasure to stand here tonight and introduce to you our first graduating class of our county's Youth Leadership Program. These students have been meeting monthly with various departments, heads, and staff since October to hone their leadership skills and discover in depth what we do here for the citizens of our county. I wish to extend my personal gratitude to the department heads who assisted and participated, and the committee who put in tireless hours to make this program a success. Out of 43 applicants that we had, the students here tonight were selected by our committee and have been volunteering in our community and working to exemplify leadership in their daily lives. It is my pleasure to present to you the students. Okay, and I'd like students to just please stand when I say your name, okay? It's Corey Bridgman from Clay High School, a senior. Anthony Cousins from St. Joseph High School, a senior. Not here? Okay. Deonna Donning from St. Joseph High School, a senior. Michael Dukes from Clay High School, a senior. Giovanna Green from Clay High School, a senior. There she is. Carly Harris from St. Joseph High School, a junior. Connor Kingston, Riley High School, a junior. Sean Kirkpatrick, from Riley High School, a junior. Elizabeth Meller from Adams High School, a senior. Jax Oda from Mishawaka High School, a senior. Duitu Pangoni from Clay High School, a senior. Tatiana Schaefer from Penn High School, a junior. Nathan Spencer from Mishawaka High School, a junior. Rory Sullivan from Clay High School, a senior. Morgan Van Dam from Mishawaka High School, a senior. All right. Thank you. At this time, the graduation ceremony will convene on the 11th floor of this building in the MACOG conference room. There, these students will make their final presentations and be awarded a certificate of graduation. If your council meeting concludes before 7:30, please consider joining us on the 11th floor for a reception in the honor consisting of hors d'oeuvres, cake, and punch. At this time, I would like to acknowledge that Thorne Grodnick Law Firm and Princess City Dental Care for their generous contributions to tonight's reception. So, any other questions about anything or comments?
Just like
Yes.
to say congratulations to all the students for your participation, and thank you very much
Oh, me
for being
too.
involved. Thank
Yes.
you. And our department heads also. Thank you.
Corey?
Yeah, also, I admit many of you don't remember all the faces. Remember a couple of you mentioned the first night, kind of gave you an explanation about the council. I'd like to ask that, I know graduation is tonight, but if one or a couple of you have, looking for some extra credit, I'd love for a couple of you. It'd be hard to do 20 of you at this meeting, but if a couple of you would like to come back and give those presentations about how to improve local government, I think the people at this table would love to hear it.
That's what we want to hear too.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Any other comments? No? All right. I thank you for your time, and I'm very excited that we did this and very happy to help everybody. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Report from Council Special Committee, Mr. Burke.
Way to make everybody leave.
Let's see if we, okay. My name is Jonathan Burke, and I'm here to give the council an update on the status of the performance contract. Can everyone hear me okay? Good, okay. And we had a very nice ribbon cutting downstairs this morning on the ground floor. It was well attended. There was plenty of media there. I thought it was a very nice event. Raphael emceed the event, so it was a very nice event. But I've been asked to give a summary of the performance contract, and when you look at the whole timeline of the performance contract, it actually expands back 43 months, back to the end of 2015, when the RFQ went out to the public. Now, I joined the project early in 2016. We started right away working on goals. We wanted to make sure that at the end of the project, we knew that we had accomplished what we set out to initially from the beginning. So we had a lot more goals than this, but I tried to consolidate them down. And there are three main goals here. We wanted to repair poorly performing energy equipment in all the buildings. And we looked at the whole portfolio of buildings, and we were able to do work in the majority of those buildings. The second goal, is at the very bottom there, but we wanted this the county wanted this to fund itself. Like, we wanted it to save enough money to pay the bond payments. So the idea was to have it be a net zero project, so there was no cost to the taxpayer, no cost from other budgets, and so forth. So that was one of our initial goals. And then the other main goal was we wanted to accomplish some additional capital improvements around the facilities of the county, things that don't necessarily have an energy payback, but nevertheless are very critical for the infrastructure of the county. And some of those things would include like a generator at the Juvenile Justice Center to keep them from having to move the population when the power goes off and the air conditioner doesn't work. So, so there were critical things that were done as a part of the performance contract that weren't necessarily paid for through energy savings, but they were carried by the rest of the project. This is a timeline here, and I'll just, I don't need to go through the whole thing, but it started in, like I said, November 15. We moved right away to the goal definition, and then we knew that our goals were high. We set the bar very high on our goals. A lot of performance contracts don't come close to paying for themselves. We wanted one that would pay for itself. Plus, we added on top of that additional capital projects. So it made it a very difficult project. So because of that, we knew we had to find the right performance contractor to do the work for the county. So we initiated a very rigorous process to screen the candidates. We had 4 initially. We went down to 2 pretty quickly, and then the last 2 had to go through a pretty rigorous screening again. We needed a contractor who had a proven track record. The one that we hired had done 300 projects in Indiana alone. We wanted a contractor who had integrity, and we found a lot of integrity in their proposals and the way they presented things. We also found a lot of integrity in the way they conducted their measurement and verification. So we selected, the committee selected Performance Services. We then came to the council and presented our recommendation, and Performance Services was hired for the project. So right after that, we got right to work on the scoping of the project. So we were able to work in just about all of the buildings, but the scoping process went on for 18 months, okay? Usually a scoping process for a performance contract is 3, maybe 6 months, maybe at the outside 9 months. Our scoping process went on for a full 18 months because we kept adding things and taking things out and trying this solution, trying that solution, because we had to find a project that would meet our initial goals. So it was an extensive scoping process. But we did the work in all these buildings. The things that are outlined here in bold are the capital upgrades that we did that don't necessarily pay for themselves, but nevertheless we were able to include. So we were able to do work at Portage Manor, 911 Center, History Museum, Parks Department, Highway Department. And then the project scope, I need to say this because this is a critical part of this program that we've discussed many times, and this is the Energy Leadership Program. The Energy Leadership Program is a means by which the county can improve on their savings by having a professional on staff, basically, that will go around and help all the building operators operate their equipment more efficiently. So that individual is here tonight. He's been hired by Performance Services for a 2-year period. And I'm going to ask Jim just to stand up briefly. This is Jim Rochford, employee of PSI. He'll be working with the county for 2 years. And I just have to say, Jim needs the support of everyone in his role here, because he'll be going around challenging people to do better. And sometimes that's not well received. We need to support Jim in every way that we possibly can as he works to amplify the savings from this project. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
So we went through the whole process of scoping, and then we started construction 11 months ago. The projects began to be completed in October of the year, and they're just about wrapped up now. I think we have about another 30 days for the odds and ends. But because we're not willing to take PSI's word on the savings, I mean, we trust them, and they're a great outfit. We wanted to do our own measurement and verification and actually look at the bills as they came in, just to make sure that they are delivering the kind of savings that we were promised, because not every performance contract delivers real savings. So I started monitoring the savings as they were coming in, and I'm happy to report tonight that out of 7 months, I've been tracking projects for 7 months, and I've been providing the council updates on my findings, and Performance Services is outperforming their promises to the county. This is just kind of a breakdown of some of the basics on the project. The total project, $10.1 million. The bond amount, $10.5 million. 15-year term. Performance Services energy guarantee is $592,000. The operational savings, $119,000, for a total of $711,000. Now, I've been tracking the energy, as I said just a minute ago, and if things stay on the current trajectory and the savings continue to come in like they have for the past 7 months, we are on track to reach $794,000 for the first full 12 months, rather than the promised $711,000. So, thank you. So I'm very happy to report that. And this is a 15-year project. It's a 15-year bond. We don't know what utility rates will do over the 15 years. They're likely to go up. We've projected them to go up. They could go down. But I have a reasonable level of confidence standing here that this project will pay all of its expenses over the term of the bond. So we'll see how that works out, but it's looking very good at this point. And this over here, these are just kind of the breakdowns of what this is the promised amount for all these different buildings, and then this is what I'm projecting will be achieved by the end of the year. I wanted to show you an actual bill from the Juvenile Justice Center. This bill just came in. This, whoops, and I'm not, so this, the bill for the last month was $10,836. The year before, the bill was $19,602. The use went down from 245,000 kilowatt hours to 98,000. Kilowatt hours per day, this just takes the amount of days on the bill and normalizes it out. It's kilowatt hours per day. That's the metric you're going to look at for actual energy savings. So we went from 7,911 kilowatt hour days to 3,388. That's a phenomenal accomplishment. I wanted you to see it firsthand so you can see that the savings that are coming in are real dollars, and they can be used, to fund this project. They are being used to fund the project. These savings are don't even include a couple of the measures out there. The new transformer and the power factor correction will amplify the savings further. This is just kind of a look at where the savings are in the project. This is just raw energy savings, $330,000. O&M savings, I'm projecting it at $204,000 to $205,000. Energy leadership, which I mentioned briefly, is kind of in Jim's lap here, Jim Rochford. We hope that will deliver $110,000 in additional savings. It's guaranteed. We have a guarantee with that. So Jim, you're on the hot seat with that. And then energy supply side savings, which are the measures I worked on initially in the project. That's almost at $150,000 there. So that's just a breakdown of where the savings are coming from. The project, I wanted to make sure you knew this project funded, I mentioned before, capital upgrades around a lot of the buildings. The additional generator at the JJC, emergency plumbing repairs in this building. Some of those pipes were I saw some of the old ones today. It's a 4-inch pipe with a hole, left drainage hole about the size of a dime. Those all came out, new pipes went in. So that was bordering on an emergency. We were able to replace that. Portage Manor had a new fire and security system installed. Again, a life safety issue. That was critical infrastructure that was handled through this project. Also, St. Patrick's Park received a new well, and the pump house is coming shortly. Again, that was critical infrastructure because their water wasn't testing the way it should at times. So that's been a great contribution to the Parks Department. A few items of unfinished business. The measurement and verification, I just want to bring this to your attention. By contract, it's supposed to go on for the whole duration of the project. That means Performance Services will produce a report every year showing the county how much the county has saved in that year. My recommendation, though, is, once you have all this equipment installed and everything in place, and you know that it works well for the first 2 years, my recommendation is to just let that part of it go, because there's about a $9,000 added expense. Certainly your call, but once the equipment is in and it's proven itself, it's an expense you might not have to take on if you don't want to. The energy manager I mentioned needs your support. The Performance Services does a 4-season commissioning, so they will be in all the buildings looking at HVAC equipment, making sure that they work as well in the spring as they do in the fall and in the summer and the winter, so they make sure the equipment is working all year round and optimized for 12 months of the year. That's also an unusual part of what Performance Services does. So I look at the goals that we set out initially, and I think all these goals were achieved either fully or they're well on the way to being achieved. And I'd like to right now take a moment to congratulate all of you and the commissioners, because the project that we had, these are the key project personnel. The county team is here, so all these folks on the county team were very involved. And when you look at that list, some more so than others, but when you look at that list, there are 11 on there. Only 3 of those people are employees. All the rest are elected officials. You spent 43 months going to meetings on almost a monthly basis. You made huge contributions to this process. And to me, it was a beautiful thing to watch, because it was a picture of elected officials doing the work of the people, and it's a great story to tell. So I just want to congratulate all of you for your involvement in the project, your support, and for having the courage to push a $10.5 million bond through to completion to get this job done. All right? So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda. Pardon? I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Contender, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, just to report back to you, you are the appointing authority for the St. Joe County Council representative to the NICD Board of Trustees. We still do not have word yet on who the new appointee will be that the governor is going to choose. We saw the governor here last week. He said he was going to get on it because he knew it was important, but we don't know who from our county is going to be the next single representative on the NICD board, so I just want to give you an update on that. I certainly have thrown my hat in the ring. I'm sure Commissioner Costello is going to throw his hat in the ring. I don't want to speak for him, but the governor has not indicated who he's going to select yet, other than what the law lays out. But as we know it, the NICD board is still in existence as it was at the beginning of this year, until the governor makes a decision to appoint the new appointees for the NICD board.
Thank you very much for that update. Next on the agenda, resolution, bill number 3819. Clerk, will you please read the bill?
A resolution of the St. Joseph County Council declaring an official intent to reimburse expenditures which may be incurred with respect to certain projects and all matters related thereto. Petitioner Phil Fasenda.
Petitioner?
Good evening. I'm
Please
Randy.
state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes to address the council, sir.
Oh, thank you. I'm Randy Rompola with law firm of Barnes and Thornburg with offices at 100 North Michigan Street. I am filling in for Phil Facenda tonight, who's away at a funeral. The resolution before you permits you to reimburse expenditures that you may incur with respect to the projects that are listed in the first whereas clause with respect to in the resolution. They could be reimbursed from proceeds of bonds that you may issue in the next 3 years. And with respect to that, I would say that this resolution does nothing more than provide a stop in time so that to the extent you incur any expenditures over the next year or so with respect to any of those projects, should you choose to undertake them, and then somewhere within the next 3 years you decide to issue bonds, you could reimburse those expenditures from the bond issue. With tonight's action, you would not be taking any action with respect to any bond issue. That certainly would be something in the future. This just provides you at that moment in time to say, if we ever choose to issue bonds, we may consider reimbursing these expenditures. You may, at the time you issue the bonds, may choose not to reimburse. There are reasons not to reimburse expenditures. You may have cash, you choose to pay these expenses, and then if you do choose to issue bonds, pay for those expenses in the future but not reimburse. So this is only an opportunity for you to sort of set the marker in time to allow for that reimbursement. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from council for the petitioner? Thank you. We will now open the public hearing on bill number 3819. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of this bill? Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition to the bill? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on bill number 3819. We have a motion on the bill. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion to pass bill number 3819 was made by Councilman Nolan. It was seconded by Councilwoman Hess. Any further comments from any council member on 3819? Hearing none, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeil?
Yes.
Ms. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Tolan?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzarite?
Yes.
Mr. Kenricki?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Let the record show that bill number 3819 was passed by a vote of 9-0. Next on the agenda is salary amendment, bill number 3719. Clerk, will you please read the bill?
An ordinance amending ordinance 53-18, the same being an ordinance establishing salaries and fixing the number of employees of St. Joseph County for the year 2019. Petitioner, treasurer, this is combined with bill number 36-1980.
Thank you. Ms. Hess, committee report, please.
Mr. President, bill number 3719 comes to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much. Petitioner?
Thank you. My name is Mike Crook. I'm the St. Joseph County Treasurer's offices in room 209 of this building. Both these bills are kind of the culmination of a major reorganization that we've done in our office in the last almost year or so. In June of 2018, I had 2 people retire in my office, and in January of this year, I had a 3rd person retire. And this gave us the opportunity to downsize our office. So of the 3 people that left, we just hired 2 people to take their places. And some of the duties that were done before by one individual were redistributed among 3 other individuals. In addition, some of the people that were there have been cross-trained now to do other duties. It also gave us the opportunity to incorporate some additional software that we weren't using before. Our taxware provider, Lau Associates, has worked with us to get a lot of our information now online. So getting more and more people used to using that will hopefully reduce phone calls in the future. And we also are using the Lau Treasurer's Ledger now, which reduced a lot of the redundancy data entry that used to be done by one of the individuals that retired. So it's freed up some people now to do multiple duties in the office. So with this restructuring came reallocating wages for all of these individuals. Everybody has taken on more responsibility, so that's kind of the second part of this, is that salary ordinance. And that's pretty much what it is.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Crook from council. Thank you, sir. We will now open the public hearing on Bill 3719. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of this bill? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the bill? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed on 3719. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve 3619.
Second.
37.
Sorry, 3719. I'm getting old.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion to pass bill number 3719 was made by Councilman Root and was seconded by Councilwoman Hess. Any further comments from any council member on 3719?
Mr. Moore.
Mr. Tanzarek.
I used to like to compliment Treasurer Crook on the reduction in personnel that he's been able to achieve through attrition and not through layoffs. And his office has always amazed me, even going back to Sean Coleman, but more recently, the last 2 terms as Treasurer Crook. The fact that his employees keep doing more with less. And I used that website on May the 9th to help my parents get their tax bills done. It's much more user-friendly, and you can print and view your tax bill, which sometimes older folks, even younger folks like me, can misplace. But it was very helpful. It was very helpful. And, I think the computer enhancements and the fact that you and your staff always seem to do more with less moves me to support an increase like this, because you have redistributed duties, and you're not just looking for a flat out raise because your employees not only deserve it, but they actually do more work. So I commend you for the work you've done.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further comments on 3719? Hearing none, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzarek?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaraki?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
And Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Let the record show that bill number 3719 is passed by a vote of 9-0. Next, we have public hearing and public comment on fiscal matters. All financial issues were heard and discussed at our April 23rd, 2019 committee meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of any financial issue on tonight's agenda? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of any financial issue on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, public comment is now closed. Clerk, will you please read bill number 3619?
An ordinance appropriating and transferring monies for the purposes herein specified for the several departments herein listed as Sjccm County government.
May I have a motion on bill number 3619?
Move for approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion to pass bill number 3619 was made by Councilman Nolan. It was seconded by Councilman File. Any further comments on 3619? Hearing none, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzarek?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaraki?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Let the record show that bill number 3619 was passed by a vote of 9-0. Clerk, will you please read the next bill, bill number 3019, under land use?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Title 15 Land Use, Chapter 154 Planning and Zoning of the Sjccm County Code as amended for property located for lot north of 6225 South Michigan Street from R Single Family District and C Commercial District to C Commercial District. Petitioner, I. Jagdish, Inc.
Mr. Nolan, committee report, please, sir.
Mr. President, bill number 30-19 comes up from council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Council. Jordan Wyatt, Department of Infrastructure, Planning and Growth, offices on the 11th floor of this building. The petitioner is requesting to rezone the area outlined in red on your screen from R Single Family District and C Commercial District to C Commercial District. To the north is a vacant parcel zoned R Single Family District. To the east are businesses zoned CB Community Business District. To the south is a hotel that the parking lot is used for, zoned CB Community Business District in the city of South Bend. To the west you have US 31. The hotel to the south was rezoned in 2006 to CB and annexed into the city. Here's a view of the parking lot and the site. Here's a view from Michigan Street. The site plan shows the parking lot to remain. This parking lot was improperly expanded because the site, half of it was an incompatible zoning district, which is why they're requesting this rezoning. Any future development will need to meet the development standards of the C Commercial District. This comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you.
And the petitioners here as well.
Any questions from council for area plan? Thank you very much. Petitioner?
Mr. President, members of the commission, or members of the council, I'm Bernard Feeney, registered land surveyor, 715 South Michigan Street here in South Bend. I'm here this evening on behalf of Sjccm. The parking lot under consideration and the rezoning for that parking lot are as a result of different state highway takes on property that Sjccm owned at the time that new US 31 was constructed. As a result, the parking lot was constructed on the north side, albeit without the necessary final site plan, which is being prepared and hopefully approved by the building department at this particular point in time. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council for the petitioner? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now open the public hearing on bill number 3019. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of this bill? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition of the bill? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on 3019. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second? Second. Motion to pass bill number 3019 was made by Councilman Nolan. It was seconded by Councilman Canaricki. Any further council discussion on 3019? Hearing none, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Ms. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Trelonian?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzarek?
Yes.
Mr. Canaricki?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. File?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Let the record show that bill number 3019 was passed by a vote of 9-0. Clerk, will you please read the next bill? Bill number 3519.
An ordinance approving a petition for a special use filed by the St. Joseph County Parks for property located at 50651 Laurel Road. Petitioner, St. Joseph County Parks.
Mr. Nolan, committee report, please, sir.
Mr. President, bill number 35-19 also comes before council for favorable recommendation
Thank you very much.
for your review.
Jordan Wyatt, Infrastructure Planning and Growth, 11th floor of this building. The petitioners are requesting to seek a special use for a portion of what's commonly known as St. Pat's Park for educational institutional uses. This was an already approved special use. The reason why they're needing to go through it is because there's no process to amend a site plan for a special use. When a special use gets approved, it's tied to whatever site plan was shown before you and approved. So they're requesting this to amend that site plan and expand the area. This comes to you with a favorable recommendation from the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Any questions from council for area plan? Thank you. Petitioner?
Good evening, members of the council. I'm Evie Kirkwood, Director of St. Joseph County Parks, and my offices are at St. Patrick's County Park on Laurel Road. As Jordan mentioned, St. Joseph County Parks is requesting this special use for the purpose of the Environmental Change Initiative at the University of Notre Dame to construct 2 additional watersheds at the Notre Dame Linked Experimental Ecosystem Facility. We often refer to that as ND Leaf, and that is embedded within St. Patrick's County Park, and you can see the site plan here. At ND Leaf, researchers study various aspects of water quality issues, nutrient uptake, environmental DNA, and other topics, and it's also the site of many public outreach programs that we do in partnership with the University of Notre Dame, things like Science Sunday or Science at Sunset, and many opportunities that we offer for middle school and high school students as well. Essentially, we're connecting park visitors to scientists and their research, which is a great opportunity. The additional watersheds that will be constructed that this permit would allow will provide for the expansion of research and public outreach at the site. And there are presently the 2 watersheds existing on the site. You can see them, the darker watersheds to the left in the diagram, that are streams, ponds, and wetlands constructed at the site. However, the planned locations originally for watersheds 3 and 4 are now within what we consider a protected zone for the bald eagles that are nesting at St. Patrick's County Park. I took the liberty of, my iPad here has the live eagle cam, and so I'm actually in a second going to bring it up so you can take a look since you're at the end of your agenda here tonight. The bald eagles began nesting at St. Patrick's County Park in 2014, and that was after the original watersheds were in place. So because the U.S. Fish and Wildlife guidelines say no disturbance within 330 feet of the nest, then the park board earlier this year approved an additional 5-acre lease for the University of Notre Dame and the Environmental Change Initiative to expand to the side to add those additional watersheds in a different location without compromising the bald eagle's nesting site. And this is similar to the request for a special use that was made in 2012 for the original ND Leaf construction. And here with me tonight is Mr. Tim Sexton, Associate Vice President for Public Affairs at the University of Notre Dame, and Dr. Jennifer Tank, the Director of Environmental Change Initiative at the University of Notre Dame, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. But if I may, I will bring you the iPad up to the dais and you can take a look at the eagles.
It's amazing what they bring in the nest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Councilman Conteen's right. The most recent interesting one, there's a heron rookery on Riverside Drive, actually on the St. Mary's property. And the other day they brought in a young great blue heron that was in the nest. So, you know, you just never know what they're going to bring in.
The 330-foot radius, in your opinion, if they're bringing heavy equipment, is that a big enough radius? Is it? I see a lot of nodding heads, so we're comfortable.
We are totally going by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service guidelines, which say 330 feet and beyond is okay. The bald eagles are now protected under the Bald Eagle and Golden Eagle Protection Act, and so those are the guidelines that they suggest. So the other thing is that the timing of the construction will be offset so that by time construction, heavy construction begins, the young eagles that you see in the nest right now will have fledged, and that's also very helpful. Good question, though, yeah.
Question for Mr. Sexton.
There you go.
Yes, Mr. Nolan.
The fact that we're going to be so accommodating to these eagles, have we determined whether or not these particular eagles are Boston College fans?
We haven't got into that yet, Councilman Nolan. We're going to find that out, though. We're going to find that out. Real quick, Tim Sexton, University of Notre Dame, Office 405 main building. I just wanted to comment that we have been extremely grateful for the partnership that we have with the county, with St. Joe County Parks. They have been unbelievable, especially Executive Director Evie Kirkwood. We have appreciated this, and the partnership continues to grow and flourish. One of the questions, actually, though, Councilman Kandarecki, that we got during the Area Board of Zoning Appeals was, what should happen if another eagle's nested in the new area? And I think Evie and I both at the time said, bring them on. We love it. This was so exciting when this happened the first time around for our community, and you saw the 3 eaglets there. But again, we're extremely grateful for the partnership. We're hoping with your approval tonight to move forward with the additional 5 acres and continue to grow this partnership. And again, Dr. Tank is here. If there's any questions relative to any of the research that we're doing there on the site, we're happy to answer that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Toye?
I had a question, Tim.
Yes.
Where do you see ND Leaf in 10 years?
You know what? I think that we would love to continue. Actually, you know what? That's a perfect question for Dr. Tank to answer. Do you mind stepping up, Dr. Tank?
Thanks so much for that great question. I'm Jennifer Tank. I'm at the University of Notre Dame, Director of the Environmental Change Initiative in the 7th floor of Flanner Hall, for the record. And that question's a great one. I think the idea, the 2 more watersheds that we're planning to break ground on in July would put us on the map for researchers from other parts of the country or even the world. For example, someone from New Zealand, a researcher from New Zealand is coming to see the site in July to know if a grant that he's working on in New Zealand, they could do some experimental work at LEAF. It's the number of watersheds that we have that's going to draw in people, because the replication of having 4 systems that you can control, that you can't do in nature, is so appealing. Someday we'd love to see 6 on one side, 6 on the other, which would be 12, just sort of an unprecedented facility for people to come and do research. But we're sort of growing in pairs, in twins, if you will, and this is our next step. So 10 years, I hope I'm still around, and if I am still around, we'll be working towards that dozen. So thanks for that question.
Thank you.
Dr. Tank, what is your budget? What is the budget for NDE?
It just keeps growing. When we started out, the watersheds, each watershed was about $250,000, and now they're about a little over 300 now. The prices of everything keep going up, including moving dirt, buying fill, all of that. So we're looking for to really think about development opportunities. One of the things we think would be awesome is that you can name each of those watersheds after your grandchildren. And so that's where we're going to go with because of the cost. Development is a real key effort that we're moving towards.
I was just going to, benefaction is a big piece to that whole budget process.
A quick one to the science. How do you keep these experiments segregated from the natural environment?
Yeah. That's a great question. So we really thought the sort of planning out about, because we're embedded in the park, about how to ensure that partnership is strong, no matter, as we're doing the work at ND Leaf. So the water that comes from the groundwater into the reservoir that feeds those watersheds, we test it before it enters the watersheds, and we test it on the way out. And our commitment is water quality as good or better. And it's great water quality when it comes out of the ground, as good or better before it leaves to go back into the park. So that's our commitment to the partnership.
Yeah, that's a really good question. One other component to that is anytime a new batch of research projects comes before ND Leaf for approval, I get to see them, and if there's any concern about whether something might escape or how it's going to be controlled, we address that right up front.
Any other questions from council? Thank you very much. We will now open the public hearing on bill number 3519. Does anyone wish to speak in favor of this bill? Does anyone wish to speak in opposition of the bill? Hearing none, I close the public hearing on 3519. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second? Motion to pass bill number 3519 was made by Councilman Nolan. It was seconded by Councilwoman Hess. Any further comments from council on 3519? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzarek?
Yes.
Mr. Kennerecki?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Krasinski?
Yes.
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Platt?
Yes.
Ms. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Let the record show that bill number 3519 was passed by a vote of 9-0. That concludes public hearing this evening. Next on the agenda is miscellaneous items. Next is unfinished business. Next is new business. Next is privilege of the floor, limited to 3 minutes on any item not on tonight's agenda.
Judith Robleski, 515 South Mead, South Bend, Indiana. I'm going to read a letter that I intend to send to the South Bend Tribune probably tomorrow. So in my previous letter to the Voice of the People letter of April 6th, I wrote, If only our county economic development officials would just let the farmland be. This is referring to western St. Joseph County farmland. Most of our county's farmers would like, in one way or another, for their farmland to remain farmland and not be developed on. They are our faithful guardians of our world-class soil and our abundant water supply. They are aware of our state losing hundreds of thousands of rural acres in recent years. In the most recent agronomy guide put out by Purdue University's Co-op Extension Service, it states, per an NRCS estimate, that conversion from rural land to urban uses is proceeding at a rate of 85,000 acres per year. There's a big dark cloud preventing the passing of the farm onto the next generation or in an acreage sale to younger farmers. The name of that huge dark cloud is the Indiana Enterprise Center, a long-range plan of economic development on 22,000 acres. No growers who are interested in some acreage on that IEC planning map want to chance starting a farm there and be faced with ongoing problems. As IEC continues development step by step, each step achieved means cloud cover darkens, expands, and a severe storm threatens the future of all farmers in that 22,000 acre plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just keeping food for thought alive. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Dan Carter. I live on 25285 West Edison Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46628. And I'm here to request that the county create a quiet zone at the railroad crossings of Pine Road and Country Club Road in Warren Township. These two crossings have the flashing lights and the gates already there. The only thing they need is a median barrier, and this would satisfy the supplemental safety measures required for these quiet zones. And according to the FRA, the quiet zone calculator, the estimated cost would be approximately $26,000 just for these two crossings. I'd like for the county to consider this because of just for the improvement of the quality of life in my area. There's been other people that's kind of complained about this, of the noisy train whistles, blowing their horns at 2 o'clock in the morning, then you come along 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's just a constant blowing of the horns. It seems like multiple trains come through there, and they're constantly waking you up and kind of taking away the quality of life out there. And then this time of the year, you're liking to open up your windows to watch TV, and now you have these train whistles coming in here and blowing, and it is just very disruptive to, just to be in your house with the windows open at this time of the year. All these crossings have the gates and the flashing lights, like I said earlier, and these two crossings satisfy, or they are activated for whatever train goes through there, whether it's the South Shore or the freight line trains or the Amtrak that goes through there. So again, it just needs a set of median barriers to create these quiet zones. So the thing is, I went online and got onto the website of the FRA website, and they have a quiet zone calculator there, but it's been told to me that it takes a county official to submit these to the FRA for approval. An individual cannot do that. So I'm presenting this to you guys to maybe find someone to present this. I think this is the first initial thing that needs to be done to create this quiet zone. And like I say, it's for these two crossings, it's approximately, according to the FRA's estimated cost, it's going to be about $26,000. So if you have any questions.
Mr. Tanzarek?
As I kind of, Mr. Morgan or Mr. Carter, I'll definitely take this up with our county engineer and see what she says.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure we probably can get a hold of you somehow. I'll get your address and your name.
Okay.
But I'm glad to take it to our county engineer and
okay.
have her investigate investigate what
Okay.
it would take to get it done. If that's
I
the
had-
desire of you and your neighbors, and I imagine that does affect the quality of life. I know in neighborhoods it does.
Mhm.
So I will take it to Jessica Clark and see what she can do for us.
Okay, I appreciate that. The tracks out there are elevated to the point, and that's why I'm kind of considering these two crossings. I had talked to Frank,
Tortilla?
yeah, and we kind of discussed it a little bit, and I had 4 railroad crossings there, but really the one that is the noisiest is that country club, because it's an elevated set of tracks, and
You said you're on that Pine Road also, right?
and Pine Road would be, yeah. So, and those are the 2 noisiest ones in my area. There's some further in town towards Leidig, but those are a little bit more complicated and may take a little bit more funding to create the quiet zones there.
I was going to kind of echo Mr. Tanzarite's comments because my district happens to be, even on the county council, 100% of my district is in the city. And I've gone down this path more than once or twice. So maybe, between the two of us, we can try to see what
people in your district are complaining to me about the same things.
Well, exactly. No, exactly.
Right.
So, this is not anything new. As far
Right.
As, as far as dealing with the quiet zones or trying to create one, I should say.
Right, yeah. So if,
I'll be glad to work with you.
yeah, if there's anything I can do to initiate something, why, let me know, give me a call, whatever, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, if we can get your information, we can follow up.
Okay, I'll have it there, thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, thank you.
I will say one caveat, no guarantees, but we'll try. There have been some really bad accidents at Pine Road over the years.
And there's I pulled up some of the surveys, or the accident reports, and there hasn't been one, and that's another thing with
Not
the,
recent, but
right,
further past, it was bad.
right, and they've got all new gates and lights there now, since that has happened in the past, and they haven't had any accidents there. Oh, shoot, I don't know what it is, but it's been a while, yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you then.
Mr. President,
Mr. Brzezinski?
appreciate Councilman Catanzarite and your comments, but Councilwoman Hess and I had a meeting with Mr. Carter and Mr. Fortia and NACOG about 6 weeks ago in regards to this matter.
Awesome.
And Mr. Fortia was supposed to turn that over to Commissioner Costelli and to Jessica Clark to review those 4 crossings. Mr. Carter and I have talked a couple times on the phone since that meeting, and just recently, as maybe a week ago, Dan, maybe 10 days ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you had any luck getting hold of Commissioner Costelli?
And I've been kind of busy myself and a little lazy on this part a little bit, but I'm trying to get back into this and try to get this initiated, especially with the good weather coming on here the last couple of days. It's like I'm motivated again to kind of do whatever I got to do to get this going. But, the last few weeks has been rainy, gloomy, and it's like staying inside or whatever. And but now that the windows are open and being outdoors, I'm kind of like getting motivated again, and I haven't heard anything or haven't proceeded any further with Andy or anybody else.
Have you tried to get hold of Commissioner Costelli?
I have not, so.
Didn't we suggest that, or you even suggested that, or we suggested that to me to get hold of Commissioner Costelli, because he has really, oversees the everyday operations and really is County Engineers Clark's boss. Per se.
So we'll
we'll be glad to do what we can, but they have to do their part first.
All right, so I'll give him a call, and we can discuss this, kind of what we discussed tonight, so.
My recommendation would be to attend one of their commissioner meetings, which would be next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and do basically what you did here tonight.
Okay, I'll present that then also, Tuesday morning at 10? Okay, sounds good.
And if I can be, or Councilwoman Hess and I could be any further assistance.
Okay.
You know where I live, I'm right around your corner.
Okay, yep, I can look you up. Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Victor Myers. I live at 336 West Navarre Street, South Bend. And I just wanted to offer my thanks and appreciation for 2 things tonight. The energy plan that reduces energy over the next 15 years, and I applaud your efforts in that, and it's a great step. And second, I was very impressed with the cooperation that was in the bill that was passed with regards to the watersheds at St. Patrick's Park. I think those are two examples of where you've exhibited great leadership in concern for the environment and for preserving our climate. And I just want to add that I'm here also to urge careful attention to what my friend Judith mentioned earlier about the IEC and development in the western part of our county. I think it's very much in opposition to the two things that were talked about tonight, which are so great. So I just would like to ask that there be thorough review before moving too far and irreversibly in direction that would, again, take away fertile land and use it for things that are not suited for it. So I ask also for a transparent process and for citizen input, and again, I think you've shown that you do have concerns for the environment, and let's apply it to these areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to take advantage of the privilege of the floor this evening? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Here a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
You think they'd make the days? Council Attorney Weston.